Good morning. Today is the 17th day of the first Adar and the 26th of February. We're going to be looking at the second reading of Tisa. The second reading is very, very long, one of the longest readings in the Torah. And it tells us of the story of the golden calf and how that came about and what happened. And what we'd like to focus on today is the calf itself. When you look at the verses, and let me just open it a second. So the creation of the calf is almost some kind of something from nothing, or being from nothing, and it's almost surprising. It says, Aaron sensed that it was not a good idea to do this, so he said to them, "Take off the gold rings that are on the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me." And all the people immediately stripped themselves of the gold rings that were on their own ears and brought them to Aaron. And Aaron took the gold from their hands and bound it in a cloth and made it into a molten calf, formed using a molding tool. Now, the way that it sounds is that he didn't know exactly what he was creating. The final product was not something that he was thinking of. The final form was not something that he was thinking about. It sort of just appeared in that form, in the form of a calf. And from that it's known that it's a golden calf. So this whole business of how it comes out as a calf is very surprising. It's so surprising that the Zohar says that there's a lot of stuff missing here. That there were two sorcerers that came out of them with Egypt among the mixed multitude. And they had in mind very much that they wanted to create a calf. And the question is why? But even if you don't attribute this to these sorcerers, you could say that even if Aaron didn't know exactly what he wanted, in the back of his mind there was this calf. Now, it's hard to say everything we're going to say about Aaron, so it does follow from the sorcerers, from this whole story of the sorcerers, and this is the way we're going to analyze it right now. So the way to look at this is, what does the word calf mean? The word in Hebrew is egel, ayin gimel lamed. And so this word has many cognate meanings. They're all related. As my friend Asher likes to say, a bouquet of meanings. I've never used that before here, but here it is. It's like giving somebody a bouquet. Okay, so let's look at them. The first one is that egel, that a calf, is cognate with the word for circle. Now, what does that mean? Why would it be circular? Well, in general, all infants, all newborns are more circular than they are straight or long. That's one of the things. You look at a human baby, so it's quite small. It's very circular. Everywhere is like circles. It's very curved. And it takes a long time until the straightness begins to come out. The straightness takes about 10, 11 years until you begin to see the growth in the elongated sense that becomes longer than it is circular. Now, what this means is that the natural state of things in the world is curved. And I don't know if we've talked about this enough in the past. This is one of the most important aspects of the Arizal's Kabbalah, that nature is curved and human hierarchy and human thought and human endeavor are straight. And he calls these igulim and yosher. And he even says, in the soul, our soul has at least 5 distinct aspects. In the soul, these are the curved is the nefesh, the lowest part of the soul, the psyche, which is more natural. And the spirit is already straight. It's yosher. It's related to human thought. It's already beyond nature. The spirit is something that comes, as it were, from a higher source. But what we're trying to say by spirit really is speech. that the anima, the psyche, is the animal inside, let's call it, the brute inside man. And then when you get to the spirit, you're already talking about the ability to speak, and that is a higher sense. So anyway, so the kaf is all circular. It's all round. The idea being that there's no straightness here. And what they were trying to do was entice them that there would be entirely perfect equality between everybody. The thing that they were running away from, especially these sorcerers, was Moses' hierarchical standing, that he is between the people and God. They wanted that done away with. So in that sense, these sorcerers and the golden calf serve the same purpose as Korach. Later we see him in the book of Numbers, Korach and his contest against Moses. So that's the first meaning. The second meaning that we have is that a calf is obviously an ox. But what the Zohar says about the ox here is that it's not just, this is one of the explanations, is that the reason it came out as a calf is because it was like the ox that they saw in the divine chariot. But then on the face of it would be something positive. If you would take the ox from the divine chariot and bring it down, so that in principle should be something positive because it's the divine chariot. It's a quality by which man becomes a bearer or a supporter of the divine as a chariot. So the Zohar says it's not that ox. It's not the ox from the divine chariot. It's the ox that we saw 3 weeks ago in Mishpatim. We saw the 4 primary agents of damage. The first one was the ox who gores with his horns. Then we had the pit, we had the animal that grazes, the teeth basically, mav'eh, and finally the fire, the mav'er, the fire that is let loose without any supervision, and it goes and destroys things in that way. So this ox, says the Zohar, this is really, the calf is really this ox, the ox that causes damages. And it says so much that because it's the first one, it's not just one of the primary, not one of the 4 primary, it's the alpha prime. It's the one that really all the other types of agents of damage come out of. Meaning they all have an aspect of the goring ox in them. That all damage, of all types of damage, this is the main type of damage that there is. So that we put in might. I don't know if we explained the first one. The first one, chesed. The first one is loving kindness. You know what? Let's leave the Sfirot apart because we're not going to finish. The third explanation is earrings. An egel is cognate with agil. Agil is an earring. And we just read that Aaron wanted them to take the gold rings that were on the ears of their wives. What's a gold ring on the ear? Why doesn't it just say the earrings and do away with that? So actually the Torah uses a different word for earring than earring. It uses another word which is nezim. Nezim also means, it just means a ring. It could be a nose ring also. So it's either an earring or a nose ring. And what Rabbi Ginsburg explained, I think, is a very simple thing, that if he would have said, take the earrings, that would have been too conscious already a direction that what should come out of this molten gold is an egel and a calf. Because the earring, which is agil, and the egel are just too close already. So it would have been pushing it too much in that direction. The fourth meaning is a camp. And the fourth meaning is taken out of a verse in Samuel 1, in 1 Samuel, that Saul was sleeping in the camp, and it says that he's sleeping in the ma'agal. We're used to the word ma'agal being circle, but we already used the circle in the first meaning that we said, igul. Igul and ma'agal are almost the same. I can't get into the differences right now, but he's in the camp. So the camp is another thing that's related to the calf. The sixth meaning would be a way, a path. We say this in Psalms 23, that you should lead me down the paths of the righteous. And in Hebrew, that's ma'agalei tzedek. A ma'agal also means a path, which is very surprising, because a path is usually, relatively, we think about it as being something straight, like especially ma'agalei tzedek, a path of the just, or the path of the righteous should be straight in some way. But here, ma'agal is used as a path, as something straight, even though, again, it means something round. And finally, we have agala. Agala means a wagon. What do we do with all these meanings? Again, this is like in either the unconsciousness or the subconsciousness of Aaron, who's throwing it into the fire and bringing out this molten piece of gold that then is fashioned into the form of a calf, or this is on purpose by these two sorcerers. And by the way, those don't have to contradict. It could very well be that in some sense these two sorcerers are like the subconscious of subconscious agents working against Aaron. But in any case, what does this all mean? So if you look at each one of these meanings, you'll see that this was the bait that the calf gave to people. So first of all, we said the first one, which is total equality. It's going to be a leadership without straightness, all equal. In the circle, all the points are equal. No point on the circle is closer or further from the center. And the second one that we said, with the ox, it's obviously power. It's giving you the power of the ox. And here the ox again is the goring ox. That's what they were looking for this power. And the third meaning, obviously, this is related, the earrings, is obviously related to this notion of beauty. And they were looking for something a form of idolatry that would allow them to connect to beauty. And beauty here is obviously some kind of euphemism for sexual relations, for something like that. The fourth one, the camp. So the camp figures very prominently afterwards when Moses comes down from the mountain and he says, I hear a sound in the camp. And this camp, then he uses the regular word for camp, which is machaneh. But again, ma'agal and machaneh are synonyms. So there's something about the golden calf that created the encampment. It caused some kind of, the way to understand is like some kind of protection around them, like a wall protecting them from everything around them. And then in the fifth one, where we had a way, so that is very clear. They were looking for some way, they were looking for something to follow. And finally, the wagon is very interesting because wagon is always associated with leadership. This is a topic that we can't get into right now, but there's a very simple thing that's called the leader, or the wagon driver in Hebrew, in Rabbinic Hebrew, is called the leader. And so when you have a wagon, there's always a leader. So the calf was here as like some kind of bait to take it, because you could become a leader. And again, because everybody's equal, why wouldn't it be you? It could be you. That's what it's giving them. So we have here a whole, as we said, a bouquet of meanings, 6 meanings to this word egel, which means literally calf, and how one might say that in the subconscious, these are the things that someone is looking for when they're looking to replace Moses. So with that, we'll say thank you for joining today. Hope to see you tomorrow.